this is Lady Boulay, and I hope you're having a glorious day. Thank you for your support. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Thank you for your thumbs up, for your comments, and thank you for sharing the videos. Thank you for all you do to support this channel. Today we're talking about Black American geniuses versus Asian American test takers. I'm surprised that nobody has made this comparison before or brought up this subject before. So I guess it's my job to do it, and I'm going to do it today, and I challenge anybody to prove me wrong. For the last 30 or 40 years, all we've been hearing about relative to education is standardized tests. Standardized tests. Black people can't pass the tests. The white people are much smarter. The Asians are much smarter. So they designed a test with the people in mind who had not had access to quality education, who for 250 years had not been able to read and write the English language, and who had not been able to speak their own language so that they might be able to better understand the new language. They designed the test for those people. And then when those people didn't perform on the test, like the people who were reading and writing in their original language, they called those people dumb. Now, this is how great America is. So people who had been deprived of education for hundreds of years were now thrown in a pool with people who had not been deprived of education for hundreds of years. And they were supposed to compete with them as if they were on a level playing field. And if you couldn't compete, then there you have it. You're done. So at first, the competition was only between black people and white people. And so white people were winning because, after all, black people didn't stand a chance with given the background that we had. Now, the Asians sort of got thrown in unexpectedly. The Asians were sitting back listening to the conversation. These people are making everything about test scores. So the Asians went to work. And the Asians really went to work learning how to pass the test. And we can give it to them. They learned how to pass the test so well that they started running circles around white students. And so then the white people took the focus off themselves and put it on blacks and Asians. So the Asians were still doing better than the blacks because there was never a time in America that I know about that Asians were not able to speak their language, that Asians couldn't read and write English or go to school. Now, if there was a time when the Asians were handicapped in that way, please let me know because I don't know about that. At any rate, the competition became between Asians and blacks. And so the Asians were winning. And we'll give them credit for that because they earned that. They earned that. They learned how to pass the tests. Whether it was the ACT or the SAT or whatever kind of test was being given, the Asians learned how to take those tests. Hats off to the Asians. Now, what is required to pass those tests is to study, 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 and memorize a lot of facts. Now, that's called rote or mechanical learning. That means you're learning for the sake of learning. Now, black people don't learn like that. We don't learn for the sake of learning. In the black world, you learn for a purpose of doing something with the learning. So that causes a conflict between blacks, whites, and Asians and how they learn. And they do study after study after study about that instead of listening to what black people say. We learn for a purpose of doing something with the learning, not passing a test. While Asians are memorizing facts, black people are creating or inventing something that could really be useful to society. Case in point, Black American culture is America's #1 export, meaning that other countries are more interested in Black American culture than they are in anything else in America. And so they pay to import that culture into their countries. That's a tangible right there. That's taking a creativity or an invention and putting it to use where everybody can use it. They make a big deal out of math scores. Math scores. Asians do so much better than Black Americans in math on standardized tests. But my question is, how have they taken that knowledge of mathematics and turned it into something that would be useful to society? So let's see what Black Americans have done with their mathematical skills. Dr. Gladys West is 92 years old. She is a mathematician and the inventor of the GPS system, the Global Positioning System. She graduated not from Harvard, but from an HBCU, Virginia State University. She developed the technology behind the satellite geodesy, which is the system that created the GPS. Dr. Betty Harris is a chemist and a mathematician. She is also the product of an HBCU, Southern University in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. She is known for her work in explosives and nuclear technology. She invented a test that is used to detect nuclear explosives in landfills and landmines. Her invention is used by the United States Department of Homeland Security and the United States military. This is Mark Dean, and he is a computer scientist, and he holds the patent for over 20 inventions, including color video display system, composite video color signal generation, refresh generator system for a dynamic memory. We love having all the memory we can get on these computers. Also, data storage device for recording to magnetic thread. Every time I look around, my computer's telling me I need more storage. And many more. All of these are very technical sounding terms that have perfected the use and operation of the computer. So this is Mark Dean, a computer science genius. This is Katherine Johnson, a mathematician who also graduated from an HBCU, Virginia State University. Her calculations of orbital mechanics were critical to the success of the first and subsequent United States space flights. These are the real-life hidden figures. These are the mathematicians that were working at NASA who helped to put John Glenn, the first astronaut, into space. They were the human computers before the mechanical computers were developed. So they were the real computers. These people are geniuses. Yes, I said it. They're geniuses. Their mathematical skills help to perfect the modern day computers that we have. These are the hidden figures. These are the women that the movie was made about. And they were hidden because they were doing all the work, but somebody else was getting the credit like we like to do in America. So I'm going to go through a few more inventors who were Black Americans. Garrett Morgan invented the gas mask and the traffic light. Otis Boykin invented the pacemaker. Jesse Eugene Russell invented the digital cell phone, the cell phone. Percy Julian invented steroids, cortisone, and other pain-relieving medications. I could go on for quite some time talking about the inventions of Black Americans. Black Americans have been inventing since the 1800s, at least the 1800s. And if you Google Black American inventions, they'll just give you a list of things that you didn't even know Black people invented, like mailbox, automatic gear shift, clothes dryer, automatic elevator doors, folding chairs, gas heating furnace. These are just a small throwaway list of things that Black people invented. These Black people did not have to go to college to pass a standardized test to invent these things. Are you with me? So looking at these inventions and many more tells you why Black American culture is America's #1 export. Cell phones, home security system, touch tone telephone, GPS system, all of that is a part of the reason why Black American culture is so exportable. Music, sports, and entertainment are other reasons why Black American culture is so exportable. What contributions were Asians making to America when Black people were toiling in the cotton fields for no wages? We have had to work for America, not just for ourselves, for America. What have the Asians done for America? One thing we know they were doing was learning how to pass standardized tests. That is their claim to fame, and that is what America applauds them for. And the way that America makes a big deal over how Asians perform on standardized tests, you would think that was the end all and be all of everything. That Asians have the solution to every problem in America, a cure for every disease, and a remedy for anything that bothers any American. This is how they carry on over the Asians with these test scores. And we black people need to call this out. What have the Asians done for America? Black Americans have not focused on taking standardized tests. Black Americans have gone to college, and it hasn't been Harvard or Yale or any of those kind of colleges. Many of the Black American inventors have gone to HBCUs where their creativity was not stifled. And because of that, they have invented products that are actually useful to humanity. And that is why I'm glad that Black Americans have not focused on taking standardized tests. Those things don't measure anything meaningful. This is what the Education Testing Service continues to tell people. But they still use those things when they can use them against Black Americans. That's the only reason those tests have been used. Asians have not made the contribution to the American society and culture that Black Americans have. And for that reason, I am glad that Black Americans have not and do not obsess over standardized tests. Asians can take and pass those tests, but for what purpose? How is it benefiting the American society for them to do well on tests, get into Harvard, and basically we never hear from them again? Well, let's look at Asians for a moment. When we look at Fortune 500 companies, 76% of the CEOs are white, 8% are Hispanic, and Hispanics only do slightly better than Black Americans on standardized tests. 8% of the CEOs are Asian and 4% are Black Americans. Now, if passing the test was so important, why wouldn't the Asians be at 76% and the white Americans be at 8%? The reason is because those tests only matter when Black Americans are involved, and they are used to shut us out. So just this comparison of how Asians are doing in Fortune 500 companies is enough to let us know that these test scores that they keep making a big deal about don't mean anything. There are no Asians on the Supreme Court. There are more African American senators and members of the House of Representatives in the United States government than there are Asians. Anybody that tells you that what somebody makes on a test is more important than what somebody actually does is a fool, and they think you're a fool. So when it comes to Black American genius versus Asian American test takers, there is no competition. This is a manufactured competition by people who don't want to see Black people integrated and assimilated into the American society. And Asians are just being used to accomplish that. I don't even see Asians as being the bad guys. They're just being used. It is my hope that Black Americans will continue to focus on their own genius and applying the knowledge that they do have. There is nothing wrong with being a good test taker. We have brilliant African Americans who are very good test takers. But the knowledge that you learn should be applied in a way that it can help to uplift humanity. Okay, y'all, I'm going to end it here. Thank you for listening. Let me know what you think about the video. Subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up, leave a comment, share the video, and as always, have a great day.